Alright, everybody. So, I have to admit, this is a disappointing story. I was hoping that we would get to enjoy this for at least a little while longer, but sadly, the hand of fate has turned a little sour for us. You see, the girls were fighting for a good few days there. Elon and Trump, the two most powerful people in America, who have been using said power to destroy our country, to destroy the American economy, democracy, and freedom of speech, the rights of Americans, and potentially our future ability to provide food for our population on top of all that, and a dozen other things, you know. Contributing to droughts and wildfires in California, just really terribly handling the country. And they've been doing that hand in hand. So when Elon decided to break up with Trump, it was quite staggering, but not surprising, you know? Like, yeah, it's a big deal, and everyone was talking about it, but I think most people agreed that it was kind of inevitable. Elon and Trump are both so famous for having massive egos and wanting to be the center of attention. How can two people be the center of attention for that long? You know, they obviously eventually were going to break up. And so they did. And I've covered their big breakup saga over the last couple streams that I've done, talking about, the initial phase of the breakup where Elon and Trump were no longer friends, and Trump was making, like, weird pseudo... Listen, everything I hear from Trump, I interpret the same way as you would a old-school New York, like, mafia guy. You know, when Trump makes, like, a tongue-in-cheek compliment, I always look for how it could be some kind of political threat, or literal threat. And in the case of this, I won't lie, Trump's comments about Elon came off as, like, vaguely threatening, even if they were somewhat complimentary during all of this. And since then, out of nowhere, more or less, Elon Musk has walked back everything. He's gone from exposing Trump to the MAGA base for having been very close to Jeffrey Epstein, likely being on the Epstein files and having the power to make them public, but deciding not to because he believes, and I quote, innocent people could be on them. Among other things, he's talked about he and Jeffrey Epstein both having a mutual love for women that are quote-unquote young. They both like them young, as Trump said, word for word, I believe, verbatim, if I'm not mistaken. Some pretty weird stuff. Some pretty weird stuff for sure. And MAGA's ignored this stuff for a while, and Elon talking about it, even though it's nothing new, was a big deal. Trump's ties to Epstein go deep, and they are very disturbing. And the more you look into it, the more evidence there is that Trump and Epstein were clearly the ones in cahoots, more so than, like, the Clintons or whatever ever were. And so, with that in mind, Elon just out of nowhere walking it all back after going for Trump's throat is definitely weird, right? It doesn't really make much sense. Unless you think that maybe, behind the scenes, something's going on. Maybe at this point, Elon is now the bottom, and Trump's now the top, and Elon is like getting manhandled into settling down more or less. I have a feeling that Elon probably thinks he has more power right now than he does because of all of his money and wealth and influence, and I think that Trump kind of more or less called him up and threatened him, or gave him an ultimatum, and now Elon's all of a sudden just walking it all back, and he's just kind of taking it as a bit of a humiliation ritual. It's like the political equivalent of when, in Game of Thrones, Cersei has to walk the streets of King's Landing with the shame bell. Like, that is what's happening right now to Elon Musk in the political landscape. And it's admittedly very funny. But I'm not one to push conspiracies, but I think it's weird that this is happening out of nowhere. But I've got a video here that talks about it pretty, like, succinctly from Philip DeFranco. So I thought we would give it a watch, and I would tell you guys, give you guys my commentary. So let's dip right into it, shall we?
The Elon Musk humiliation ritual has officially begun, and it may be even more pathetic than expected. Trump's protest problem in Los Angeles is now spreading as ICE raids, mass arrests, and National Guard deployments are reaching cities like New York, Seattle, and Chicago. Also, what's really going on with it?
By the way, there are protests against ICE happening here in Seattle right now. I haven't seen any of them myself. I should go out and take a look. Maybe I shouldn't, though. I don't know. It might be a bad idea, come to think of it. Regardless, though, their protests are now happening in my city.
His deportations, including a secretive deportation app, undercover ICE raids at courthouses, and judges ordered to dismiss cases without hearings. The West is starting to fracture over Israel, but there is one huge exception. We're jumping into all that and much more on today's extra-large Philip DeFranco show. You daily dive into the news, starting
We love Philly D
Elon
here.
Musk just threw himself at Donald Trump's feet. With him tweeting like a sad ex at 3 o'clock this morning, I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump.
Bro, 3 a.m.? On what coast? Elon would be on the West Coast, right? Because his, like, factories and stuff are in California. I feel like the furthest east he could be would be Texas, but I guess he could be in Florida. If it's 3 a.m., his time, that's something, man. That is something. But if that's 3 a.m., it could be as early as 6 a.m. if we're talking Philly D. Getting this screenshot from California, which is, I believe, where he lives. And Elon was on the East Coast, like in New York or something. So Elon would have been, like, up at 6 a.m., just, like, ruminating and deciding to post this at like, 6:04 or 3:04, depending on whether it's East or West Coast.
Trump last week. They went too far. And for those who may have forgotten, he signed on to the idea of Trump being impeached, and he also said, "You're in the Epstein file."
Wait.
He signed on.
Ian Miles Chong tweeted, "President versus Elon. Who wins? My money's on Elon. Trump should be impeached and JD Vance should replace him." And Elon Musk says yes. You know what's amazing? Both of these people are non-American, foreign individuals who have immense amounts of impact on our country's politics, despite not being American and having no real stake in the future of America. Ian Miles Chong is I don't even know where he's from, but it's somewhere in Southeast Asia, and he lives there. He doesn't even live in America. He's not American. And Elon Musk lives in America, but he considers himself South African first and foremost.
Onto the idea of Trump being impeached, and he also said, "You're in the Epstein files, bro. That's why they haven't been released yet." You know, well, it is a rare walkback for a guy who's known for quadrupling down on.
That's MAGA's dark, dirty secret they refuse to talk about or even engage with the left on when it's brought up in the discussion around Trump, is the fact that way back in the day, by that I mean pre 2016, if I'm not mistaken, well before the Epstein stuff was really big, well before his suicide as well, Trump was accused alongside Jeffrey Epstein by multiple women of Jeffrey Epstein and Trump having raped them when they were 12 and 13 years old. And all of this, their testimony all falls 100% in line with what we would later find out was the MO that Epstein followed for his sex trafficking ring. So I'm just saying, when years before public testimony comes out telling us what Epstein was up to, multiple women came out to say that Trump and Epstein raped them when they were little girls, and their story is basically one-to-one with how Epstein does that stuff, which we wouldn't find out publicly till years later. It's ooh, yeah, I think they might have had a point. That story got totally buried with the right-wing media refusing to engage with it, and now no one remembers it. But yeah, Trump and Epstein have gone to court together as defendants over rape allegations.
Even the worst takes, it's also not really that surprising. In general, the whole blow-up kind of showed where the base was regarding who they actually support between the two. Though obviously, a lot of their supporters want them to work together and be on the same page. But also because since their massive blow-up, the two have kind of been slowly thawing. With, for example, before this, Musk deleting some of his more inflammatory posts, including tweets linking Trump to the Epstein files, calling for his impeachment, and claiming his tariffs will cause a recession. And then over the weekend, you had Trump sort of maybe kind of walking back his threats to investigate Musk's immigration status or cancel federal contracts with his companies, saying that he hadn't really given the threats any more thought. And while speaking to reporters on Monday, we saw Trump say this of Musk.
"Look, I wish him well. You understand.
Okay, so we're 6 months into Trump's first term, or second term, right? Like the first year of Trump's second term, sorry. And already they've had a big breakup and get back together moment. Do you guys think this is going to be like those toxic situationships you see where it's like the same two people keep breaking up badly, then getting back together, then breaking up, then getting back together, then breaking up, then getting back together, and everyone's just watching like, why do they keep doing this?
Had a good relationship, and I just wish him well. Very well, actually.
Right, and then Musk responded to a post of that clip on X with a heart emoji. And then that same day, Trump sat down for an interview for the debut episode of the New York Post's new podcast, Pod Force One. And in that episode, which actually aired this morning, you had Trump saying that he was open to reconciling with Musk, which, is a notable reversal from just 2 days before when Trump told NBC that he had no desire to repair his relationship with Musk and that he assumed that the relationship was over.
And what happened with Elon? Is there
Have you guys noticed how there's like absolutely no hardball interviews against Trump, particularly since he took office in this term? You should have noticed this because like the media coverage of Trump, even like how standoffish interviews would be with Trump before this term compared to after is so stark, man. Like none of these journalists are willing to hold Trump's feet to the fire at all in an interview because Trump has come out to say if a news agency, or sorry, if a journalist from a news agency pisses him off, he'll revoke the entire company's press pass, essentially meaning that they don't get to be there for any State of the Union addresses, any big public like statements or press conferences he holds. They're banned from the White House, right? They're like NBC or CNN would be banned from the White House, more or less ending the career of whatever journalist caused that to happen, pissed off Trump. They would end up getting all the blame for Trump, getting pissed at them and the company they work for by extension. So for the sake of protecting all of their jobs, all of these journalists are terrified of Trump revoking the press pass of the company they work for and them losing their entire career in the world of journalism because of it. Because, I mean, imagine you get CNN's press pass revoked by the president. You would never be able to work in journalism again unless you were completely self-sustained, I guess.
or anything that you can do to forgive him? Could you see that happening?
Well, I have no hard feelings. I was really surprised that happened. He went after a bill that's phenomenal. It's the best thing we've ever signed in this country. No, I think the bill is great, and
He just didn't
I think
get that.
he feels very badly that he said that. Actually, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
In him, but it is what it is. That happens. Things like that happen. I don't blame him for anything. That I was a little disappointed.
Could you reconcile?
Say it?
Could you reconcile with him? Do you think? Could you forgive him?
I guess I could, but we have to straighten out the country.
Yeah.
And my sole function now is getting.
Did Trump have a stroke? Why is his right eye so squinty compared to his left eye? Are those headlines about, like, doctors being concerned for Donald Trump's, like, mental state actually on point? Does he have some kind of palsy going on right now? Because, like, that's a little odd. That's a little weird.
Have to straighten out the country.
Yeah.
And my sole function now is getting this country back to a level higher than it's ever been.
But hey, for now, we'll see what happens if they'll ever.
I guess he's always
get
kind
back
of looked
together.
like that.
One thing I will say is it will be eye-opening if they do, because Trump has generally shown that he doesn't care what the hell you said about him in the past, as long as you declare loyalty now. I mean, the guy's VP literally.
That is true. Like, it's possible that, like, if Elon just, sits and bends the knee and kisses the ring, that nothing bad or any big, like, falling out happens again in the future. Trump just wants sycophants. He just wants people that back his goals, and that is it. That's why we're expecting to see so much chaos caused by simply nonpartisan but incompetent leadership, right? Like, unrelated to any political issue that has a partisan line, Trump is just going to run the country badly. He is just going to lead the country badly, doing the job of the president badly. And he doesn't allow people that are smart, competent, like adults to be in the room to advise him. Because how dare anyone presume to advise Donald Trump? How dare you presume to tell Trump that a tariff is not a tax on the government of another country importing goods to America? How dare you presume to correct him? You know, you'd lose your job in his admin in a heartbeat at this point. He wants sycophants, and that's all he cares about. Even if you were once his loudest and proudest detractor, if you bend the knee, he'll parade you about as like a golden child to the media.
Once called him America's Hitler, and now he's like his biggest attack dog. So I guess to some degree, the question becomes, where on the bar is getting called America's Hitler compared to the guy gave you several $100 million to become president, but he also kind of alleged that you're a pedo? Like, where does that...
It does not pass the bar, I don't think. I think all Trump wants is... I think Trump recognizes the social power. You know, Trump's an influencer. He's a social media influencer at the end of the day. And I think he recognizes the power of social media influencer collaboration and how much hype and attention that draws. And the collaboration between Trump and Elon has been significant in that way. And so it's similar to like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fighting. Everyone wants to say they don't care, but I think everybody was like, okay, so the fight happened. Did Jake Paul lose? Ah, damn, he didn't. You know, like, I feel like most people had that reaction because when you see two really big names involved with each other, like collaborating in any way, just the fact that there are a lot of people hyped about it makes people who don't generally care somewhat interested. And obviously the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight is a weird example, but in this case, it's just the idea of influencers collaborating together is exciting to people, and that's the effect that Trump has created with his alliance with Elon, and I don't think he wants to give that up.
Show up, and where is his forgiveness level? And also, will all of or how much of MAGA will forgive him and or trust him? Because while you've seen MAGA influencers like Charlie Kirk really trying to navigate the situation, you're also seeing others like Candace Owens.
It was very, very funny to watch all the right-wing grifters scramble to pick a side. Because on one hand, Trump is Trump, and he's not going anywhere for another 3 or so years. He's like the face of the Republican Party. If you're going to be a conservative grifter, you gotta, like, shill for Trump, right? But then again, Elon is Elon. He's like the Reddit Kekius Maximus Doge guy. He's the guy who's all about the rhetoric and the culture war talking points that they built their careers on. And so if Elon can surpass Trump and all politics can be about is memes and culture war nonsense and bringing comedy back, that is literally the dream of every right-wing grifter. To never even have to so much as engage with a real political issue and to just talk about, like, dumb social, like, commentary and, like, culture war stuff all day. With that doesn't require a thought or a second of research. That is what they want politics to be. And I think that's why a lot of them actually ended up kind of falling in line behind Elon. But for a couple days there, it was just this hilarious situation where they were all scrambling to decide who do they fall in line with.
Replying to Musk's tweet, asking, what specifically do you regret? Do you regret telling the lie that Trump is in the Epstein files, or do you regret telling the truth that he is in the Epstein files? With that then causing some interesting back and forth.
Now, though, Elon has handed all of MAGA the W to, has handed the whole W to Trump. Where MAGA now gets to put Elon through the ringer because Elon admitted he was wrong to go against Trump. So that makes Trump look even better in their eyes, even if they, like before, supported Elon. And now it looks like either Elon lied about Trump in spite or is now apologetic about talking about something that's actually concerning in regards to Trump. And now he wants to take it back because he and Trump are cool now. Which neither of these situations, like Candace Owens pointed out, I hate to say that, but she did, quite concisely. Neither of those situations that are possibilities, the only two possibilities now that Elon has done this, neither of them make him look good at all. Either he's a liar, or now he's upset he told the truth. Either scenario is bad.
One of her fans responding, normally appreciate your takes, Candace, but this ain't it. They both want to move on. You don't. To which she replied, I do not wish to move on from an insinuation that someone was involved with Epstein. We need full clarification.
That is literally how Trump supporters think. They're like, listen, let's just move on from the evidence that Trump might be a pedophile. Okay. I get it.
Not a half-assed
I see how it is.
apology. Yeah, for now, we'll have to wait to see what happens with the MAGA base and the orbiters around it, with Donald Trump himself, and if Elon Musk continues what feels like the beginning of a humiliation ritual to get back in Trump's good graces. In the meantime, I'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions.
It really is hilarious, dude. Like, Elon is crawling his way back into Trump's good graces, and it might be the most embarrassing thing in the world, man. There's actually been some developments on this story, by the way. It's very, very funny. And now he's trying to use the attention that all this garnered to bring attention to, or use it as, like, advertising momentum, I suppose, for a new Tesla product he's announcing. I'm not joking. Elon Musk says his next product will be the most important Tesla has ever produced. And he says it's finally almost here. It's going to be here. Let me see what. Fuck. Let me turn off ad blocks so the site lets me read the article. Oh, is it just fully paywalled? Oh, I guess it's just fully paywalled. Huh. Well, that sucks. Anyway, apparently Elon's announcing a new robo-taxi. I'd like to read the rest of the article, but it's going to be this robo-taxi thing. He's supposedly been promising it for a while, like the idea that these automated Tesla taxis will just be driving around cities and you'll be able to, like, call one in with an app and just, like, have it show up. And if you have Neuralink, the plan is that you're supposed to just be able to think, I need a ride, and like a Tesla taxi will auto drive itself to your location. You hop in, you think where you want to go, and it takes you there and then charges you on your card or your whatever you have attached to it, your bank account or whatever. Gee, that can't go wrong. How could it possibly go wrong? And how could it possibly not be almost here? How could there be any scenario where this does not arrive when Elon is predicting it's supposed to come out? Elon Musk, always a very accurate arbiter of telling us when things are going to be coming from his company. Everyone knows the Cybertruck came out right when everyone expected. The Tesla Model X, no delays at all. Listen, I wouldn't be upset about the delays on their products if the products came out and were actually good, all right? That's the thing. When the Tesla Cybertruck can be ripped apart by, like, not that muscular of a guy with his bare hands, like it's some, like, plastic cheaply made, like, papier-mâché prop. It's, man, how do you claim it's like this indestructible bulletproof future truck and it can be ripped apart with your bare hands? It's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot whether you're watching live when I'm live streaming or when this goes up as its own video on YouTube. Every thumbs up goes a long way to boost my channel in the algorithm, so YouTube actually recommends my stuff to more people in the future. And of course, if you don't know what to comment down below to also boost the channel in the video, then just consider commenting "Who up Xandering they haul." It really does help, and commenting "OMG me" on other people who've said it also helps as well if you want to. But that aside, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications, so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. I particularly recommend that you join my fan Discord. It's the main hub of my community and fan base, and on top of that, every Friday, such as tonight, I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights. So I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be watching watching Baki tonight while I pump some iron, and I hope some of you guys join me in working out tonight as well while we watch Baki. It's going to be a blast. But finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.